welcome to a new ASMR video. I hope you're doing so well. Tonight I'm filming my June reading wrap-up. I don't know when this has become a thing I do every month, but I can't say I don't enjoy it. Yeah. Also, I hope you are surviving in this heat wave. I am boiling. Outside it's 35 degrees Celsius or something like that. Inside it's 27 and I am, it's so hot. Every morning I open the windows and try to let some air in, but most of the time at like 6 in the morning the air outside isn't even cool. And in case you don't know, German buildings in Germany, but like living buildings don't usually have AC. Shops, sure, but not buildings like this. Also, I still haven't got the curtain fixed, but I put something over the window to keep the sun out, so that's why it's dark in here. And I can't film it in the living room despite this being a book-related video because there's a construction site going on and I think you'll hear it. So, anyway, let's get right into it with the first book that beautifully fits today's color scheme. I've already talked about this in a recent video. This is The Dragon and the Sun Lotus by Amelie Wenjiao, which is part 2 in the duology to this book, The Scorpion and the Night Blossom. So I'll mostly be talking about the first book content-wise because the blurb on this one is full of spoilers. But basically this is about An Ying, and she lives in the kingdom of rivers, which is like Earth. And there are 3 other kingdoms: the kingdom of Sky, where celestial immortal beings live, the kingdom of Night, where demon-like creatures named Mo live, and a 4th realm that I don't want to get too far into because I feel like it's only properly explored in this one, so I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah, and the Mo from the kingdom of Night have started a war on the kingdom of rivers where the humans live, and so far they've been pretty successful in fighting against the humans. So An Ying in the first book wants to participate in the immortality trials, which takes place in the kingdom of Sky, to receive a pill of immortality. I won't tell you why she wants that pill, but it's not for herself. Yeah. And then obviously there's like a romance going on, so I would say this classifies as like YA romantasy. But maybe mature YA romantasy. Because it reads like YA, but there are spicy scenes in there, like sometimes. Anyway, I don't know what I gave the first book, but it definitely had its flaws. My main complaint with the first book was that An Ying was more of a passive person and didn't really do anything. At least nothing to warrant others' high opinions of her. And I am happy to say that in this book she's much more active. She, does a lot more. So I think I gave this 3.5 or 4. It's a good story. I liked the world building and the writing style is amazing. I think pretty much every other review mentions the writing style. But the love story, I hated the love story. I hated the ending. Yeah. So the writing is beautiful, but the themes are sometimes a bit hard to get through, just because, I don't know. I didn't really, for some parts of the story, I didn't really like where this was going. I've read one other duology by Amelie Wenjiao, and I do think her strongest suit is her writing style, because she has a beautiful writing style. But I think in the other duology too, I disliked the ending, so I don't think she writes endings that are compatible with what I like. I would still recommend this though, if it sounds interesting to you, give it a go. Now the second book. I've read 6 or 7 books this month, by the way. I don't know if I've mentioned that. The next book has actually been on my shelf since my birthday in 2024. This is by James Hannah, and it's called Did Nobody Give a Bleep What Happened to Carlotta? I think there's a reason why I was interested in this book. Or why I initially picked it off the shelf. So this is about Carlotta Mercedes, I don't know how she pronounces her last name. A trans woman who has been in a man's jail for the past 20 years and is now being let out on probation. And so this follows her re-entry into society and into a normal life. Not so normal life, I should say, because her family is something. And she has a young son that she hasn't heard of in years, that she wants to, or who she wants to reconnect with. Yeah. I gave this 3.5 stars. Personally, I found that the writing was initially a bit hard to get into, because it switches rapidly between AAVE and standard English. In the middle of a sentence, you'd have another sentence thrown in AAVE, and then the original sentence just continues on as normal. Let me see if I can find an example. And it's also spelled like how you pronounce AAVE. So sometimes, because I'm not very well versed in AAVE, I had some troubles with knowing which word meant which. Okay, I can't read that because there's a swear word in there. Let me see. There are so many swear words in this, I don't think I can read anything of them. Okay, maybe this one. One time, a CO belted her in the face and she almost made a meal of her own tongue. I stalking like Daffy Duck for 2 effing weeks. The sentence just switches into AAVE without warning, sometimes in the middle of a word. So that was a bit hard for me to get into, but I did grow to really enjoy reading it. Just putting it out there for someone who may be a bit surprised by it. So at times this also reads like a stream of consciousness, so if that's not something you enjoy, I don't know. So the mix of writing styles and this, and the mix between standard English, she went into the room and did this, and then AAVE, I'm doing blah blah blah, is very interesting. reason why I didn't give this 5 stars, because I did tremendously enjoy like the first half, is that I think in the second half the book kind of lost the plot. Like some scenes just felt very dragged out, kind of unnecessary. I don't know. The first half is like 6 out of 5 stars, and the second half is just not. And I found myself getting kind of bored with it. Still, I would recommend this to everyone, and I'm very glad to have read it. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I wanted to say about this. It's definitely very, very different from what I normally read, and for that alone, I'm very glad to have read it, because I like to branch out into different areas of books, different types of books. That's the word, types, not areas. Okay, the next book I actually read in German, and unfortunately I don't know if there's an English translation. It was a bestseller in Germany, but I don't know if they translated it. It's called New Beginnings by Lily Lucas. So this book was on my radar, but like very far away on my radar. And I was an impulse buy because my local bookstore just added a huge section with used books. And I found this in the used books section for €3, I think. It was a bit banged up here, but I fixed it. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe like that. I fixed it. So this takes place in, I don't know if it's a fictional town, but a small village, not small town, in the Rocky Mountains called Green Valley. And it's about Lena, who's a German au pair girl who goes to the US to be an au pair for a family. And Ryan, who is her au pair dad's younger brother. So Ryan used to be a professional skier. He did skiing professionally. But because of an injury, he can't do that anymore. So he's at home all the time, sulking, being mad at the world, being a grumpy person. And Lena has to take care of the kid of the family, and so she has to spend a lot of time with Ryan because he's always there. He's not the kid she's taking care of, he's just always there. Yeah. And it goes on from there. This was a nice change from what I'd usually read, because this is like, it's a very easygoing, straightforward romance. Nothing really special about it, if I may say so. I was a bit disappointed that Ryan didn't get a stern talking to in the end. And I always rate my books very subjectively, so I gave this 4 stars, not because it's like a particularly good book. I would argue that Didn't Nobody Give a Bleep About Carlotta is like way better than this one from like an objective standpoint. But my reading experience with this was very enjoyable. I think I completed it in less than a day. Don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Yeah, and anyway, Lena doesn't really have any defining personality traits, so she can be like a self-insert stand-in for the reader, but I didn't mind that. And Ryan honestly is kind of a good character. His transformation from grumpy to less grumpy is quite well done for only 300 pages. So as I said, I don't know if it's available in English, but if it's available in English, or if you know German, then read this if you're looking for just a cute romance. And this is a whole series of interconnected standalones, so there's a lot more to explore, but I don't think I'll read the other books. Right. Then the next book kind put me in a reading slump because it took me like 2 weeks to complete it, which isn't normal for me. Technically it's 2 books. This is, okay, there's a spider on this, so if you don't like spiders, maybe skip ahead like 20 seconds. After that I won't show the spider anymore. This is a dual book. So it's a back-to-back book with 2 stories, so you can read it from either side. Yeah, so the first side, you start like this, and when you're done in the middle of it, you flip it over and start again from this side. Okay, no spiders on screen anymore, you can look again. So one side is called Killer on the Road, and the other, let me hold the spider closed, is called The Babysitter Lives. That one's about a haunted house, and the other one, this one, is about a serial killer on the Route 80 in the US. I really enjoy Stephen Graham Jones's writing style, and personally I think his horror is quite unique. But maybe that's because I haven't read too much horror yet. So I started with The Babysitter Lives. I wanted to say Babysitter on the Road. I started with The Babysitter Lives. And that was a good thing, because that was, I don't want to say I didn't enjoy it, because I did enjoy it. But Killer on the Road is far superior in my opinion. So I started with the one I thought I would like less, and I was right about it. Maybe that's why it took me so long. Yeah, there's nothing else I can really say about this book. I feel like I gave it 4 stars. This one like 4.5, and the other one 3.5. So I settled on 4. What I like about Stephen Graham Jones is how he weaves supernatural things into his stories, because I'm a huge fan of like supernatural things that end up being just normal things. Like it turns out there was nothing supernatural at all going on. But with his books, it's like it really is supernatural, and for some reason I really enjoy how he does it. The 2 are quite short, only around 200 pages for each of them. So if you want to see if you'd like his writing and you want to get into like a shorter book, I'd recommend these 2. You can also buy them separately. Yeah, but like the dual book feature is kind of the reason why I bought this in the first place. Alright. Okay. Then number 5, and this too is a German book, but I know for a fact that this was translated into English. In German this is called Was man von hier aus sehen kann by Mariana Leckie. I would translate this as What You Can See From Here. I do think they've changed the English title a bit. You can just look it up on my Goodreads if you want to know which one it is. And this one has a really nice feel to it. The previous one too. The previous one was kind of rough. This one feels like regular paper, which I really like. And the next one is also great on the texture side. Anyway, this is about a small German village, and about Selma, who lives in the village. And every time Selma dreams of an okapi, that's this animal right here, that looks like it's made up, but it exists in real life, someone dies the next day. So the story is told through the eyes, like through the lens of Selma's granddaughter Louisa. And it starts with Selma having had a dream of an okapi the night before. And then we also, there are some time jumps in it, so we get to see Louisa as a young adult and as a slightly less young adult. And her relationship with her grandma and the other people in the village, and it's quite sad, but also very heartwarming. This is like a slower book, very character driven, nothing much happens. I think there's like two really big events, one at the beginning, one at the end, and then the middle is just kind of there, but you don't mind it. I want to steal the description of someone on Goodreads who said that this book, like the person said if books wore shoes, this book would wear slippers, because it just like trots along silently, and then it kicks you gently in the shin to say, look here, something has happened. These are not my words, I took them from a Goodreads review, but I think that's a perfect way to explain the book. I ended up giving this 4 stars, I believe. So if you're interested to see what German literature is putting out these days, maybe give this one a shot. Also, there's a dog in this one and he does not die. It's very important to me that you know that the dog does not die. Also, the cover is just beautiful. So simple but so beautiful. Alright, and last but not least, a book I completed just like an hour ago. Oops. This is The Examiner by Janice Hallett. And this one is very smooth. I like how it feels. So this is about an art course. It's told in retrospective, so the art course is already completed. The students have been graded, and there's an external examiner coming in to look at the grades and determine if they're like okay, or if someone's been graded too high or too low. And the external examiner notices that something's off and becomes convinced that one of the students was killed during the year and the others covered it up. And so it starts with a letter from the external examiner to the reader asking us to help them. And then the whole book is told via messages, emails, protocols from meetings, diary entries. Yeah, no linear storytelling whatsoever. Let me get us a page so you can see what I mean. Okay. So the whole book looks like this. It's all just messages the characters wrote to each other during the year. I know that this can put some people off, so this is definitely a book for a very specific group of reader, but I gave it 5 stars. I enjoyed it so much. It was so much fun because it felt like you were digging in the personal stuff of other people, and if you know me, you know I live for rich people drama in books. And this isn't exactly rich people drama, but it's similar, so I love this. I thought the way of telling the story was quite unique, because we never learn anything straightforward. We learn everything through the conversations of other people and draw our own conclusions from it. And there were a couple of plot twists that I predicted, but there were also 2 or 3 where I was like, what? I didn't expect that. If you start this book, the first 100 pages feel like an introduction, so nothing much happens. But believe me when I say there's a lot of important groundwork being laid there. And some people gave up after like 100 pages or said that they didn't like the first 100 pages on Goodreads. And let me tell you, from someone who loved this book, I also loved the first 100 pages, but if you're on the fence, if you're reading this and you're like, kind of boring, continue. At like page 200 it gets a little bit juicier, and around the halfway mark it really picks up the pace, and from like page 350 or so I couldn't put it down. So this really picks up the pace as you go, and you'll be reading this and you'll be like, what? And then you'll go back to the beginning and you'll see that it was all there in the beginning, you just didn't notice it. Truly a great book, because it also played with my mind a bit. One of the plot twists I saw coming from a mile away, but because I saw it coming, I second-guessed myself so much that I didn't see it coming. Yeah, anyway. I think this might be my favorite of the month. Alright. Now, as I said, I just completed the Examiner an hour or so ago. So I don't have a current read, but I do have a next read, because for me the month isn't over yet. I have like 4 days left. And that is Schattenbraut, Shadow Bride, or Bride of Shadows. This was a gift from a friend who got it in like a book subscription box, and it's so gorgeous. So gorgeous. It's in German, but it's a translation from an English book. And it takes place in Malaya, 1893, and 17-year-old Lilan, who comes from a good but poor house, gets a proposal, and she is supposed to marry someone who recently died. So she's very hesitant about if she can be a bride to a ghost, and I think it's also a bit supernatural, because it says here she night after night she enters a world between reality and dreams, the shadow realm, and there are some like difficult truths coming out. That's all I can tell you about this book. I'm very excited to see how this will be, how what I just told you will be used in the book. Yeah. Alright. And then just really quickly, I do want to show you my July reads, because I do have some exams coming up. I only picked two books instead of my usual 4. I want to show them to you. The first is a chunker of a book that I got. I think this book is one of the books that I've had on my shelf the longest. I think I got this in the beginning of 2024. Cassandra Clare's Swordcatcher, which is the first book in a fantasy trilogy about an orphan girl, an orphan boy who's the body double of the prince, about a girl who has magical abilities, who's like part of like a marginalized group, and the mysterious Rag Picker King, which I think the Rag Picker King is the title of the second book. This one has like 600 pages. Yeah, I haven't read anything else from Cassandra Clare yet, and I'll let you know how I like it. And then my second book for the month is something for in between. It's a short stories collection, Blind Willow Sleeping Woman by Haruki Murakami. I bought this secondhand also ages ago. Can't really tell you much what it's about, because again, it's a short stories collection. Oops. But I picked this because I thought this would be nice to read in between my exams. so that I didn't have to focus on like a very long story. So I just keep reading like 20 pages and then the story's over. This is great for gripping sounds, especially because everything's sweaty in this weather. Anyway, that was it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe you're already asleep, and if you aren't, I hope that you fall asleep quickly and wake up tomorrow feeling fresh and full of energy. Got confused there for a second. And I'll see you